Hello and welcome to the CodeBuddies.org live code hangout. For today, we will be working on the Western Friend website. Let me just hop back there on GitHub. We're going to work on a feature request, or it's actually not a feature request, it's a core feature for the minimum viable project. That is, the magazine subscription needs to control who can access certain issues of the magazine, certain articles, in other words. Subscribers should only be able to access the latest articles unless the article is marked as featured. So we'll hop over into VS Code. Let's move that over. Put the code over here. We'll need to create a branch. Featured articles. So this is going to involve a change to the model and some changes to the templates for the magazine. To the magazine app, models. We've got a magazine article. Most recently, I worked off stream on controlling the rich text features for the teaser. And I guess the body should actually have the same features as the teaser, perhaps. Well, I think we're trying to move away from having images in the body, for example. I'll add the featured. Or is featured. By default, magazine articles will not be featured. Featuring articles has a couple of effects we'll get to in a moment, but it'll display it more prominently when viewing the magazine issue. And it'll also allow non-subscribers to read the full content. Maybe I'll add a help text real quick. All right. So we've got the field migrated in. Let's go ahead and take a look at it in the Wagtail user interface. And really, I can apply this to any of the, one other thing I'm going to do. is put it in the editing interface. So I need to tell Wagtail to render it as a field panel. And I suppose it can be displayed I think it makes sense to have it down here in the article information. Yeah, we'll publish that one. Okay, looks good. Push those changes up to GitHub. We'll open a pull request here, creating this draft. This draft. So PR 293. What do I copy this? Let's use this. No. All right, so let's go ahead and view this issue, and it hasn't changed anything. Really, all we've done is add a field in the database. We haven't modified templates or anything like that. Now the templates need to take into account, there's two templates we'll need to edit. First is the magazine article, which will have a conditional, if user can view full article. Actually, we already have that. So I'll have to check that the article is featured inside of that function. Good. And this function, maybe defined on the model. Yeah, just while I'm thinking about the other place, this magazine issue, we'll check both of these out. So user can magazine issue. That's going to make this a little bit more difficult, but all right. I'll make a helper for this. So I'll turn this featured articles into a helper that'll fetch the featured articles from related articles. And I need to find where I defined the user can view full article. Models pie context magazine page. Got it. User subscriber request user is super users. Self is public access. Is featured. I think this is more explicit here. Let me find that model field is public access. Oh, okay, so I need that and is featured. Got it. So all of those conditions. All right. So that's actually pretty straightforward. The other part that's going to be a little tricky, but I'll figure it out. It says featured articles now no longer a field on the issues. So hey, Murtatha. Okay, thanks. It's good to hear that you're learning from the videos. Good to see you around. I hope to see you in the YouTube comments at least. Murtatha. Okay, good. Nice to meet you. It doesn't show that you're in. It shows you're in the chat, but not in the stream. Very cool. And I'll try to summarize what changes I'm making here so that you can just watch. You don't have to watch the whole live stream. You can just watch the important parts. And feel free to check out the code, of course, on GitHub. All right, so magazine issues should have featured articles, but that, I believe, is an intermediary table. No. Oh, yeah, it is. Magazine issue featured article. So I'm basically going to remove this orderable. If you're still there, whereabouts are you from, Murtatha? Faryala. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me know your GitHub and I'll check out your projects. And if you're interested in collaborating, I can help out with some of what you got going on. You can host a Code Buddies session if you're interested. Right, and are you... Okay, cool. From Iraq. And are you mainly doing Wagtail or Django, I guess? That would bring you to this live stream. I've been doing a little bit of WordPress lately as well. I don't know if that would be useful. Yeah, so I guess this featured articles just gets added. The thing is, I'm going to have to be careful about. This is going to throw an error, but I'm going to migrate this out and see. It shouldn't throw an error until I try to render it, if I understand correctly. Oh. Featured articles. So I need to make that migration. Here we go. It's this inline panel. Right. That was the other half. I knew there was some kind of connection between the two. So from the magazine issue, you need to put an inline panel to let you do the orderable, the selecting of the featured articles. Now I should be able to run this migration. Make the migration. Yeah, Django is pretty great. Oh, okay, you've used Pygame as well. That's good. I'd like to learn a little bit about Pygame. And what kind of a Django project is it you're developing? And what do you think of the Wagtail CMS? Is it a good fit for your project, or is your project not sort of CMS oriented? Let me think. Before I run the server, I'm going to let's see. This didn't pick up. I'm going to create that helper. There we go. Remove magazine featured articles. So basically, magazine. Eventually, I might squash all these migrations. We're not in production yet. It's not so super important. Yeah, definitely. I'd appreciate some help. We do have some low-hanging fruit tasks. And the cool thing about this project is we're getting pretty far down the road. We've got most of the features implemented from what I can tell. We're in the beta testing stage. So even if you're interested in helping us with some beta testing, that would be a pretty easy way to kind of wade into the waters. You don't have to necessarily write code, but if you can spot bugs, that would be useful as well. I'm sure there's a few bugs throughout the project. And some of the code in the project is relatively old. Like this code I'm working on right now is, 3 years old. And I've learned quite a lot since then, and about Wagtail and Django, and probably the way I wrote code 3 years ago wasn't, has improved since, and wasn't quite maybe following regular conventions, or there's new ways of doing things in Django 3, which came out since then. In Python, Wagtail 2 came out then. Yeah, cool. All right, so the helper we're going to have to add to the magazine issue is we're going to need to get these featured articles, and it looks like it's going to return a cursor. I think that's what Django calls it, a database cursor. So get featured articles. Let me see what I've got pasted here. Yeah, that's just. So we'll define a function on our model. So the context here is the page object, which could be just called issue. So our issue model, magazine issue, is going to need a new property, which is a method. And we'll do these alphabetically. Gets itself in there. Return like a cursor. Something like that. So we don't need it. All right. So self, I think it's just self articles. Let me double check how we've got this relation. I think the relationship is defined on the article. Because you select the issue body manager. Oh, okay. Children get. Oh yeah, it's hierarchical. All right. Wagtail is a hierarchical page model. So I think we can get children filter is featured as true. Excuse me. Okay. This is just going from memory. I'm not sure that this is correct. But we'll get the children of this article, and we only want the featured ones. Okay, so let's run the server. I could just return that directly. So we'll go back to, now this just really briefly. This article is featured. So, okay. Function object has no, so objects. Filter. This again is I'm just need to do that. The problem is if this returns null. So I think these objects are of type just wagtail page. And so this filter's not available. I've encountered this problem before. Instead of self, I can do There we go. That's it. It's a child of self. That's huge. See if it works. Ay, Kesty. Yeah, let's just see if this is going to work to just print. So this page URL is broken, but okay, well that's a problem. So actually, just database context is changed. There we go. Oh, good. Let's feature another one. DI, this one's cool. Let's feature. Publish. And we'll go to the issue. Nice, it worked. All right, that's good to go. And essentially, I'm just going to return that because I'm not really sure I need to. Define a variable that's just going to get returned immediately. I believe that's it. The session was relatively short today. Go ahead and summarize the changes we made by reviewing the pull requests on GitHub, I suppose. Let's lint it. Lint the code. Oh, that's actually not the file I wanted to lint. This one. Very cool. Welcome to the recap of today's CodeBuddies.org live code hangout. Today, we've been working on a feature for the Western Friend website, allowing magazine articles to be featured on their relevant issue, on the related issue. And what that'll allow is two things. One, the article will be displayed more prominently on the list of issue articles. So here's an issue called On Debt, and here are the featured articles. And the other one is a little bit more subtle, but it's part of the business model, the subscription model of the website. Featured articles should be accessible to the general public, so without an account or subscription active. And the rest of the articles are for subscribers only for the first, I think, few months until the article is, I believe, 6 months old. After 6 months, all of the articles become freely available. So let's take a quick look at the code changes. Wasn't a whole lot that was needed. I'll read it top to bottom. This is a migration generated by Django, so we won't really read through that these migration files so much. But essentially, from any magazine issue, I'm going to need a list of featured articles, and in order to grab those, we actually needed to grab the magazine articles that were a child of the current issue. And we're using a Wagtail page model, and page model is hierarchical. So for our content, the magazine issue contains one or more magazine articles. So these magazine articles are children of the issue. And we added a field today that says this magazine article is featured. And this specific method, it looks like it grabs the related articles in as efficient as a way of possible to the database. I'm not sure how it works internally, but just the Wagtail page query set reference mentioned use specific, and also the Stack Overflow question might have also mentioned the same thing. We've removed an old inline panel. So previously, I guess the migrations are salient here. We added a field and deleted a model. So we added a magazine article is featured field. It's a Boolean field, and we deleted an intermediary model called magazine issue featured article that was allowing us to do an orderable list of featured articles when creating a magazine issue. So we've kind of inverted the control here. Now the magazine articles define themselves as featured, and the magazine issue just displays them. Previously, the featured articles were defined from the magazine issue page. You would create the articles, then go back to the magazine issue and select it as a featured article. That is a reasonable approach. There's different trade-offs, but one of them introduced one of the trade-offs was that it introduced an extra step in the publication process, and I think it was going to make it more difficult for us to fetch or to have conditional logic relating to the display of the article. We'll show you a little bit about that in a moment. So now we have an actual field on the article, the Boolean field, whether or not it should be featured prominently in the related issue and allowed the reader access without a subscription. We told Wagtail to render the field, and we added a condition here. Inside of Wagtail, get context, there's a property called user can view full article, and this is going to determine whether or not this article should show a teaser in a please subscribe message, or the whole thing without the please subscribe message. Previously, we're checking if the user is a subscriber, or if they're a super user, or if the article is public access. And now we've added our is featured article. Public access, just briefly, is those articles that are older than 6 months. They were published more than 6 months ago, or that the issue was published more than 6 months ago. Those become public access. So it's slightly different. Featured articles can be published today, but then marked as featured. So they would allow the user to read the full article only if they're featured. So here, just removing this magazine issue feature article. And the last change essentially was to the template. We didn't have to change the magazine issue template too much, aside from since we're not using an intermediary table, the featured article is actually the article itself. Previously, it was a magazine issue featured article object that had an article property that was a foreign key to the related article. We just removed those, and we have direct access now to render that featured article page URL and the featured article title property directly. So that's it. Not very many changes. Small pull request. You can check out the pull request and our full code on GitHub, github.com/westernfriend. Mark this as ready for review. Thanks to Murtatha for joining the live coding session. It's always nice to have company while we're doing our work and have conversations. Murtatha, sounds like you're doing some interesting projects, so I hope to be able to collaborate with you on GitHub. This has been a CodeBuddies.org live code hangout. Stop by CodeBuddies.org to get involved with this and similar projects, or host your own hangouts and collaborate with other like-minded folks. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.